Hey guys, I'm once again joined by my friend Jeremy, and we're continuing our reviews on the Mummies series with 1942's The Mummy's Tomb, which is a direct sequel to 1940's The Mummy's Hand, which itself was sort of a semi-sequel / soft remake of 1932's The Mummy, making this the third film in Universal's Mummy series overall. So, the plot of The Mummy's Tomb is it's set 30 years after the events of The Mummy's Hand. We find out that the surviving characters of the previous film brought the mummy of Princess Ananka back to the United States. We also learn that the evil high priest, who is the main antagonist of the previous film, George Zucco's character, is still alive, and he sends a young protege over to the United States along with the mummy Kharis, who they resurrect, to get revenge on the surviving characters from the last movie as well as their family members. What do you think of The Mummy's Tomb?
I think it's a big downgrade in quality over the last two. I mean, it reuses a lot of footage from the last one.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the first 10 minutes of the movie, I want to say, is basically a recap of the previous film. Here's the issue, though. This movie's only an hour long. So, basically, we spend, 10 minutes recapping the last film, and then the rest of the movie, basically the main plot of the movie is, 50 minutes at best?
Yeah, something like that.
Here's the thing, though. It's only an hour long, yet it kind of feels longer.
Yeah, you could say that.
So in this one, Lon Chaney Jr. plays the mummy, or Kharis. What do you think of Lon Chaney Jr. in this? Because I'll be honest, I kind of feel bad for him, because if you see him as Lawrence Talbot in The Wolfman, or if you see him in any other movies where he's not in makeup, the guy was a real freaking actor. And here he's just walking around in a mummy costume, and that's it. I honestly feel bad for him in this movie.
Yeah, I guess I do too. I mean, that's all any actor who plays the mummy is really gonna have to do, walk around and strangle people.
Yeah, but at least, Karloff was able to emote as the mummy, and actually had dialogue as the mummy.
He only spent one scene wrapped in the bandages.
The movie's just so cheap and kinda dull, if we're being honest. I mean, setting it in America, I guess, changes things up a little bit, but overall, it's just kinda bland. It's a very bland film.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, what do you think of, the fact that they kill off, the main characters of the previous film so quickly in the film,
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that, them killing off the characters in the previous movie.
It should also be noted, since this is set 30 years after the events of the previous movie, assuming the previous film was set in 1940 when it came out, that would technically set this movie in 1970. This movie's set in the future, man.
Yeah, but it still feels like the 40s.
Granted, back in 1942 when this movie came out, they had no idea what the 70s would actually be like, but the fact that it is technically set in the future, you would think the filmmakers would acknowledge that at least a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's the problem that you face when you try to make a movie set in the distant future. You don't know what the future is going to be like.
And it's one thing if, you made this, an outright sci-fi film, but that's not what they're going for, there was really no point to it. They might as well have just set this, maybe 2 or 3 years after the last one. They didn't have to set this, 3 decades later,
Exactly. They could have just set this 2 or 3 years after, and it probably would have worked just as well, or worked better, I'd say.
I'll be honest, I don't really have a whole lot else to say about this one. This one was just, I didn't hate it. It was, mildly entertaining, and again, it's only an hour long, so if you want to kill an hour, go ahead, but seriously, though, the first two are way better.
Yeah, I agree. They are better. Back in 2009, I wrote a letter to actress Elyse Knox, asking her some questions, and she responded.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So yeah, guys, that was our review of The Mummy's Tomb, and our next movie review will be on The Mummy's Ghost.